Imagine being told to follow the dress code exactly and showing up in an outrageous but compliant outfit, or a boss demanding every detail of the report and then ending up with a 100-page document in minutes. Welcome to r/malicious compliance. These tales highlight sticking to the rules while turning the tables, often with a dash of humor or petty revenge, all shared for the community's amusement. I hope you enjoy. Boss accused me of bullying, so I requested punishment. Years ago, I worked in a semi-public sector job as part of a successful team, helping make life easy for local businesses. Our team boss took a good job in the private sector, and a new boss was recruited from a decent organization similar to ours in a different part of the country. She worked compressed hours, Monday to Thursday, and was off on Fridays. What a great schedule, 3-day weekend, dang! A month or two in, and although the new boss was quite particular about things being done her way, and had upset a couple of my colleagues by criticizing their work, I had no problem with her. We had a team meeting where the boss said that our performance wasn't good enough, we were arguably the best in the country, and that she wanted to be more involved in what and how we did everything to ensure better quality, and so we should copy her to every client email so she could comment as needed before we sent another reply. Overbearing managers doing what they do best. Although this seemed inefficient, nobody argued, and I just asked her if I should wait until Monday for her to comment on any client emails received on Friday. Oh, because she doesn't work on Friday, right? I can't remember exactly what she said, but at the end of the meeting, she asked me to stay behind and then told me in a heated tone that my question was bullying behavior, and it was unprofessional to ask the question in front of the team, and said that my actions were the sort of thing that HR would see as grounds for dismissal, and that I should be very careful in future. Whoa, what strange aggression. Maybe she felt like she was getting kind of attacked for having the Fridays off, but that's fine. She has an extended work week. She's doing more during the Monday to Thursdays than she is over the Friday than anyone else would do. I told her I understood, and we returned to our desks where I wrote up every single detail of the entire meeting and interaction and sent it to the head of HR with the explanation that as bullying was very serious and may not be reported by the victim, I felt duty-bound to report myself. I also laid it on pretty thick about being appalled by my unprofessional behavior and the fact that my career was likely at risk, and I clearly had a desperate need for training and discipline to fix my dangerous ways. I also copied in my union rep. Within a day, me, my union rep, and my boss were with the head of HR who, being a by-the-book professional, could find no indication of bullying or justification for my fears of being an unprofessional bully in need of re-education. I was asked to leave the meeting. My union rep stayed in, and I don't know what was said, but within 6 weeks, my boss was gone, and in that same week, my weak and ineffective but likable big boss called me in to thank me as he wanted to get rid of her and hadn't known how. Easy enough, the trash takes itself out. Bye-bye. I love it when they hand me the rope, you know? Nothing really hits quite as hard when that BS turns back onto them. Always keep receipts, always keep documentation, write down everything, even just voice calls. Type a little email after and say this is what was said. Just stick to the script. I work in a call center for a regional bank, handling everything from bank balance inquiries to fraud alerts. The job isn't glamorous, but most of us were good at it because we knew how to actually talk to people and calm them down. One day, corporate decided we were going off message too often. They rolled out a new script where we were required to follow word for word. No improvising, no adapting to the customer's tone or urgency, just read the script. We all knew this would go badly. One-size-fits-all language doesn't work when someone's card just got stolen or their mortgage payment didn't go through. But management was adamant. If you deviate from the script, it's a write-up. So then, I mean, what else are you supposed to do, I guess, right? So I complied religiously. That's what you're supposed to do. One day a customer called, clearly panicked. Someone just charged $800 at Best Buy on my card, and I'm at work. I didn't do it. Cancel it now. I took a deep breath and replied, exactly as the script instructed. I am so sorry to hear you're experiencing this inconvenience. I'd be happy to assist you with that today. Before we begin, may I ask how your day is going so far? May I ask how your day is going so far? Dead silence. Then the customer said, seriously? I continued, we strive to provide exceptional customer service for every call. Can I please have your 16-digit card number to better assist you? The guy actually laughed. I hope they're recording this call. They were, and so were 3 others that week where I stuck to the script in absurd situations. People locked out of offline banking, someone whose check bounced, a woman crying because of a fraud lock on her account. My supervisor pulled me into a room, looking annoyed but also kind of sheepish. Her, we've had some feedback. You don't have to follow the script that strictly. Me, oh, I thought it was a write-up if we deviated. Her, just use your judgment, okay? The script was officially optional within the month. I probably enjoyed this too too much. It makes sense for there to be some level of a script in a financial sector. There does need to be some sort of security when it comes to responses that the people give or questions that they ask. So I understand the use of a script, but to stick to it one-on-one, these people, have they never been outside or a bar or talked to a person? I wonder if she ever got around to asking her boss how her day was. HR said we can't make expectations. So I took all my paid time off at once. New manager comes in loud, talking about structure and consistency. Suddenly, no work from home, no flex hours, no swapping paid time off. I asked to move 2 days, my cousin's wedding. She just goes, sorry, we can't make expectations to anyone. It wouldn't be fair. All right then, I put in a request for all 23 of my unused paid time off days, straight through end of quarter. No overlap, no coverage. It got approved in like 10 minutes? Lol, okay. Couple days later, she's in full panic mode. Wait, who's handling your workload? Dunno, I assumed you had planned. No expectations, right? She had to cover me and deal with fallout. Stuff piled up, clients got upset, 2 people quit. I came back to a new HR memo. Managers can now approve flexible paid time off on a case-by-case basis. Turns out fair looks different when you're the one getting screwed. Top commenter had an interesting story that I want to share as well. I used to work for a major international bank where vacations was set to expire after 22 months. This meant that any vacation earned in 2025 would expire by the end of October 2026. The issue with this? October is fiscal year, and usually an all-hands-on-deck situation where a ton of critical reports needs to go out to meet regulatory compliance. Anyway, my middle manager job was usually insanely busy, so I rarely took my vacation, and it was always a struggle to get my allotment in during the time before it expired. One year I had 3 weeks left and it was early October, so I approached my boss and asked if I could book the days now and show up to work for October and then just take the actual days off in November when it was calmer. What a considered employee. He obviously deserves his paid time off and gets to choose when he wants to take that, and deciding to do that outside of the most busiest time of year is a very professional approach. Well done. He said no exceptions. Use it or lose it. Thinking I would opt to lose it, I immediately went to the HR system and booked my 3-week vacation for the last 3 weeks of October, and it gets approved. On the second day of my vacation, he started emailing me with things like, we need this report run and verified by end of day, even though I had my out of office set. I'm not a jerk about it, so I took it as a one-off and just ran it and checked it over, as it took me about an hour to do. No harm. Then he did that the next morning and evening and the one after that and after that. I emailed him back and copied HR asking if this meant my vacation days would get refunded or if the company was paying out overtime hours for this work since I was on approved leave. I didn't hear anything for about 48 hours and then got a sheepish, enjoy the rest of your vacation, we got this handled response. Yeah, really, stick it to him. Apparently HR tore an absolute strip out of him for harassing and demanding work from an employee on vacation. When I got back, he said moving forward he would be amenable to some vacation day swaps to make sure we had appropriate coverage at the right time of the year. And just as an edit, I should add that HR were kind of jerks, so I don't think they cared all that much he was asking me to work on my time off. I think they got nervous that he was demanding it in writing with a long history/audit trail. You gotta get everything in writing. You don't sound sick to me. Edit, I'm not an American. Totally fine. Hello, non-American. I used to work as a researcher in an inbound call center. I loved the work and the company was fantastic when I started. But after 4 years, they got bought out by a big international company. A pretty standard hack and slash corp where they buy out profitable companies, strip out all the assets, cut costs, slash quality, make good money until our well-deserved fantastic reputation is destroyed, then sell off and move on. Within weeks, the company went from being fantastic to work for yet just another silly, tense work environment where the bosses take advantage of the employees. One quick example of how badly they nerfed the bonus structure: one particular bonus went from being able to earn up to $1,000 extra in 3 days to a single $50 Boston Pizza gift card. Previously, all employees got paid varying bonuses under this scheme, but in the new system, only one person gets the gift card. And they had the nerve to get mad at us when the new slap-in-the-face bonus failed to motivate anyone. I was good at my job, and not to brag, but I was the most productive employee on the floor. We were given 15 paid time off days to use every year, which according to our employment contract and company handbook were to be used on sick days, mental health days, and other personal reasons. No explanation was ever asked for. Use them as and when you will. I always made sure to use all my paid time off by the end of the year, as it didn't bank. Previous management encouraged us to do so, also there was no bonus for not using it. I followed the company rules, always gave plenty of notice, and only once left the team dangling with no notice, as I got seriously ill at that time. The new management takes over and right away they start trying to intimidate us into not taking paid time off. I hear a lot of this from my fellow employees, how when they call in, the supervisors have started grilling them, challenging them, saying they don't sound sick, etc. A lot of intimidating and bullying. So by the time I need to use a paid time off day, I'm ready. I call in one day and tell them I won't be in tomorrow. They want to know why. So I tell them I'm not feeling well. Their voice grows immediately cold, and then I get a rude tone. You don't sound sick to me. Being a smart aleck, I said, not even doctors try to diagnose illnesses over the phone. But they kept trying to push me. Can you come in the afternoon? You don't sound sick. You've been using a lot of sick days. Way more than other employees. I got tired of being treated like a criminal for obeying the rules, so I got a recording app for my phone. I live in a one-party consent area, so it's perfectly legal to record phone calls. Next time I felt sick, I called into work. Now they always begin the call with a disclaimer. Thank you for calling X. For your information, this call may be monitored for recording or quality purposes. I say hello, give them my name, and say, by the way, just so you know, on my end, this call may be monitored or recorded for quality purposes. Because I am recording the call, and I think it's only fair to let them know. The supervisor gives a perfunctory laugh, then says, so why are you calling in sick? You don't sound sick to me. I'll put you down as sick for the morning, but you'll be in for the afternoon. I inform them that no, I'm calling in for at least one day, and will update if I don't feel better. She says, no, I'll put you down for half a day. You can call in again if you don't feel better. Once again, I say no, restate my position, and tell them that is that. She gets really annoyed and starts insinuating that this might cause me to lose my job. Why do you take so much more pay time off than the other employees? I take what my employment contract says I'm entitled to. No more, no less. Well, you should have better team spirit. We'll have to review this with HR. Threatening tone, classic bullying playbook. I'm off the next day, come in for my following shift, go see HR. I sit down at Art's desk in HR. He's very much a corporate HR lapdog. He starts going on about how they're gonna have to review my employment contract and consider whether or not going forward I'm a good fit at X Corp. Now, in case I seem too calm in this scenario, bear in mind that while I do prefer to remain at X for the time being, I don't care if they want to fire me. I'm very good at my job. I've had several job offers from competing companies, so the threat of being fired doesn't faze me. While Art is berating me, I take out my phone and start playing the recording I made when calling in sick. Art stops, starts to get annoyed, then realizing he's listening to a recording of an employee verbally berating and intimidating a worker for exercising their contractual legal rights. He excuses himself and is gone for about 10 minutes before returning, visibly angry but restrained. He tried to dress me down, scare me, intimidate me into thinking I had violated the law with an illegal recording. I told that, working as I did as a professional researcher, I had, to no surprise, done my research, and single-party consent is all that was required. He shifted gears, started saying the recording didn't count because the supervisor thought it was joking. I wasn't, but she thought you were, and she was wrong, so it doesn't really matter what she thought, Art. I told her the truth. She made a mistake. And recording my own phone conversations is 100% legal and admissible. Art leaves and returns a few minutes later, even more red-faced. You can go back to your desk. I did as instructed, and that was all I ever heard again about using my paid time off. Whenever I called in from then on, they were always very precise and professional. Their tone was cold as politicians promise, but that was a lot better than the bullying from before. From what I understand, one-party consent means that you can record as long as you're a participant in the call, so OP didn't even need to tell them that he was recording the call and it would have still been admissible. Of course, it depends on what state you're in. Do take those precautions. Boss asked me to wash work linen at home, so I did. I worked at a therapy clinic for a short span. We used towels and pillowcases frequently for exercise and icing/heating applications. We had just moved to a new site that did not have an in-house washer or dryer, and my director had no intentions of hiring a contractor to deliver and pick up linen. We were tasked by the director with taking the linen home ourselves and washing it. Many of my coworkers just took it as a part of their job, but did not agree. We were hourly workers, and that was blatantly a work-related activity. When it was my turn to take the linen home, I clocked in on my phone prior to starting the washer and clocked out only after I had taken out and folded all of the linen. A week later, my manager sends me a text questioning my extra time. I simply replied with, I was on the clock washing the linen. It wasn't long after that we had a new contractor coming by the office weekly to pick up and deliver fresh linen. I feel like that violates a lot of health standards, right? She did talk about it being just for sweat and for heat application, which isn't that big of a deal, but still gross, right? Trying to performance manage me out of my job? I'm up for the challenge. Years ago, I worked for a supervisor who just didn't like me. No reason why, since I just came to work, did my job, and went home at the end of the day. But he decided that I was terrible at what I did and decided to performance manage me out of my job. Game on. He wrote me up for some vague silly stuff and asked me to sign it. But since it didn't show any hard facts and data, I asked for examples of this. Meeting ended with document unsigned since he didn't have any examples for it, tried it again with an example this time, and I asked him how often this would be reviewed for feedback, how the feedback would be given, and how the improvement or non-improvement would be measured. He didn't have a solid answer, so again, no document signed, and the meeting ended. The next time he had HR in the meeting, and he had all his documentation and the answers to my questions from the prior meeting. He decided to be so smart on how feedback would be given daily via email. I signed the paper and he gave me a smug smile. Next day came along and shockingly there was zero feedback given. No email sent for the rest of the week. Get called into a meeting with the boss and HR with a paper saying there was no improvement and I was being put on warning for termination and oops, I'm sorry, but can you show me the email where feedback was given daily as outlined? There were none. Meeting ended. Next day email sent with feedback. I responded with facts and data. No response. Day after email sent with feedback, again responded noting that I hadn't gotten any follow-up for the day before, and responded to that day's email with facts and data. Third day I again noted that I hadn't gotten any answer to the previous 2-day questions, and added facts and data for this one. Then CC'd the HR person and sent it back. Apparently after much discussion, boss decided that it was too hard to performance manage someone out of a job, and my work was suddenly just fine after all. There was a story that was very similar to this where they ended up installing monitoring system onto that person's laptop. End of the day, they ended up finding out he was working more hours than what they were expecting and had to pay him overtime. The craziest thing is that they thought that he was actually doing less hours and ended up having to pay him more after the fact. Project manager said if it's a problem, the pressure test will catch it. Alright then, let's find out. Back when I was a junior engineer, I was working with a piping contractor supporting a gas plant project that was in the final stretch before commissioning. We were under intense pressure to hit deadlines, and everyone was feeling the heat. One of my responsibilities was reviewing materials before installation, i.e. basic quality control to make sure we weren't about to install something that would bite us later. Then the pipes arrived. These were large diameter, high pressure pipes for a critical gas line, but the moment I saw them, I knew something was off. The mill markings didn't match the material certificates, and some of the weld seams looked rough. When we took a closer look, we found surface defects and laminations at the bevel, classic signs of poor quality steel from a dodgy mill. I flagged it immediately. My lead engineer took one look and agreed. These pipes weren't fit for purpose. We raised it with a project manager, expecting him to do the obvious thing, that is to reject the batch and order replacements from an approved supplier. But this PM wasn't like most project managers. He wasn't an engineer. He had a bachelor's of commerce and landed the job thanks to his uncle, a senior executive. He had zero technical knowledge and didn't care to learn. To him, just another job to push through quickly to up his bonus. And rejecting the pipes would cause delays, something he was desperate to avoid since it would probably affect the bonus. His response? The supplier says they meet spec, so they meet spec. Just install them and move on. I pushed back, explaining that if these pipes failed under pressure, we were looking at a major incident. He waved me off. Just get it done. If it's a problem, the pressure test will catch it. Alrighty mate, let's see how that goes. The pipes were installed as is, and we moved on to pressure testing. I stood back and watched. As we ramped up the pressure, the pipe's weld seam split wide open and ruptured the pipe. The force of the failure sent a shockwave through the system, and a few of the pipe supports even bent. The pressure test failed spectacularly. Now, instead of a minor delay to replacing the pipes before installation, we had a catastrophic failure that shut down work for weeks. The entire line had to be cut out, re-welded, and retested. The supplier was blacklisted, and an internal investigation was launched into how the pipes had been improved in the first place. We were also made by the client to bear the cost of the rework. As expected, the project manager tried to shift the blame, but my lead engineer simply pulled up the email chain where we had clearly raised the defect concerns. Management didn't take long to connect the dots. The PM was taken off the project immediately and was sacked a month later following initial investigation results, and even his uncle couldn't save him. Never saw him again after that, and last I heard, he decided to pursue a career outside of the industry. Sounds like a guy I wouldn't even put in charge of a Subway. Imagine two kids sitting on that line and one of them says, "Ooh, look, moldy bread," and then he just says, "Ah, it's fine. You authorized it, you take the fall." So I work in complaints for a major telecom operator. Yes, I got promoted since my last post here. Hey, congratulations, OP, well done. Nice on the upgrade. And we are swamped. We're working in crisis mode as we don't have enough people to do what we need to do. In every complaint that isn't solved in 15 days, one way or another, accrues fines from the regulator. Now, in crisis mode, we just auto-approve small claims as it's cheaper than the fines for being late. I get a huge claim on my desk, easily 100 times more than the fine for being late. It's 14 days old. I go to the supervisor, but he says it's too big for him. He can't authorize it, and he thinks it would be cheaper to take the fine and work out everything in due time. But he'll check with his supervisor and get back to me. Fine, I go back to work doing other cases for the rest of the day. Next day, my supervisor's boss comes to me asking why that particular case is on 15th day. So I tell him. He's furious. Everything should be approved. It's crisis mode. We can't allow to be fined and so on. So I ask him to authorize it, saying once more it's 100 times more than what the fine would be. He says he doesn't care and he'll authorize it. I say it needs to be investigated. Once more, he just says he'll authorize it. Now for some clarification, his bonus is reliant on the late cases. Fewer late cases, more bonus. So I say fine, sign here, and he does. I process it and forget about it. Come the end of the month, a huge commotion happens. Sector director is in my supervisor's boss's office yelling like there's no tomorrow. I get called in and the issue is that case, and the jerk who authorized it is trying to throw me under the bus. It turns out it was a fraudulent complaint and we had to investigate it before making a decision. Sector director just asks who authorized it mad. I bring him the signed papers, I get sent out. A few days later, the boss gets the sack. Gee, I wonder why. Anytime anybody hands you a piece of paper, regardless of your position, and they say, hey, you should sign this, probably read that paper. I will work that Saturday, you put me on the roster. Ooh, a TLDR, I do appreciate those. Thanks, original poster. They changed my Saturday roster at work, arrogantly ignored my admonitions, so I let the new roster mess itself up. If anyone's made a schedule before, it's definitely not the easiest task. I was a manager at McDonald's and I did them there. I was also a waiter in a restaurant for a while where I got the opportunity to make the scheduling, and it was very difficult. Every week it was a challenge. At my ex-place of work, they had the bright idea to switch the Saturday schedule. Instead of the rotation of 4 Saturdays, now people would be scheduled on either the first, second, third, or fourth Saturday of the month. Right. Those of you readers who have ever had to make work schedules already know when the problem will present itself. Right. Yeah, I don't think that's how weeks and months work. I repeatedly asked those planners before the introduction of the new roster if they were sure they wanted to implement this. In this way, they repeatedly assured me, yes, this will be a more clear schedule, and if everyone has a set Saturday, there will be no need for further planning. If you say so. I was assigned Saturday number 3. No problem with that. Now, I was the Veronica there. My other colleagues were not interested in stirring the pot, so the first month, no problem. The second month, 5 Saturdays. So the team that was assigned to the first Saturday had to show up for Saturday number 5. Then on the first Saturday of the following month, the team from Saturday number 2 had to come in. And on Saturday number 2, yep, they expected team number 3 to be present. And they were, except for this, Veronica. Even on the Friday before, 2 of my group colleagues mentioned to me something related to the next day, and I told those 2, oh, but I won't be there. But we're supposed to do the Saturday shift tomorrow. Not me. I'm assigned Saturday number 3, not 2. But we're on the schedule. Well, I don't know about you, but they told me I'm on the schedule for Saturday number 3, and tomorrow is the second Saturday, so it's not my turn. Definitely not. And what do you know? Next morning, Saturday number 2, at 9:35, the phone rang at my house. We have to be at work at 9 to open doors at 9:30. You do understand that I had switched off my cell phone before going to sleep. My sister answered. I could hear her from my room where I was leisurely lazing in my bed. Hello? T, yeah, she's home, but she's asleep. Work? I'm sure she doesn't. She explicitly told me that she's gonna sleep in today because she isn't scheduled. Yeah, I did tell her that. Absolutely not. We have an understanding that when she's sleeping late, I have to let her. I'm definitely not waking her up when it's her free Saturday. Yeah, I don't know about that. I can tell her to call you when she wakes up, but it's her free Saturday, so I can't guarantee that she will. Or when. My sister can also be a Veronica. Actually, she didn't say the next words literally, but something in that direction. Well, not my monkeys, not my circus. Have a nice day. Goodbye. I had wanted her to say that probably someone must have made an error in the planning of the roster, but the monkey thing was also cool. After she hung up, she came into my room and we had a big laugh. And on the following Monday, not one of the people of the planning, nor my supervisor, nor any of the higher-ups dared to confront me about my absence on Saturday number 2. Nor on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and on Saturday number 3, I was there alongside the whole team for Saturday number 4. We had one surplus worker that day. But would you believe that I still had to send out an email every month to remind everyone that I will not work on Saturday number 1 nor on 2. I will be present on Saturday number 3, but not on 4, and absolutely definitely not on a Saturday number 5. Yeah, I'm that petty. They kept messing it up for almost a year. I really love the way that sister handled the call. Rules are rules, they're meant to be followed to the T. It would have been even funnier if that had spread out and gone to other employees as well. And that's the end of our video. Thank you very much, guys. Hit that subscribe button.